Hey y'all. So this episode is going to go after our. This episode is going to be a bit different from what we usually do, and it's also going to get into some subjects that are a bit gruesome. It's going to go over murder, sexual assault, and generally get into some dark areas, especially when it comes to like Louisiana, not necessarily history, but some fairly recent events that were pretty dark in our state's history. So if you don't want to go over that, that's fine. We try to keep it. We try to not to be gratuitous about it, but we understand. Regardless, those subjects can be kind of bad for people. But if you want to stick around, I hope you enjoy the episode.
Wait, are you doing a true crime? Welcome y'all to Backwoods Obscura, a podcast dedicated to the lore, legends, and myths surrounding the creatures that may lurk in your backyard. My name's Hewitt.
I'm Chris.
Hey man, how you doing?
It's been a couple of weeks.
It has. It's been
we haven't
3-4 weeks since we've recorded.
I went camping, but I can't even remember what we talked about last time.
We've had Father's Day. You talked about camping before, but like we were getting to it, instead of doing this every week, so your wife's not getting mad at you every Friday or every Saturday for being like at my house.
Yeah, I'm the cook in the house, and they get upsetty spaghetti if I do. Ironically enough, we made garden spaghetti last night.
Oh, that's good.
I took all the tomatoes from the garden that we had harvested.
Oh, that's actually something you haven't mentioned much on the podcast other than you started doing it, is your garden's like in full bloom and I'm like 2 weeks behind you.
Yeah, because I got here early and I was just walking around your house like a creepy asshole. So I went out to your garden. I was looking around. I was like, damn, this is like probably the first time my garden has been ahead of yours.
Well, I waited till Easter to plant this year.
Right, yeah. And it's not like a bad thing. It's just like I also have like 2 other people in my house that are like just driven to do stuff. We have corn.
Nice. I've never been able to grow that shit.
I was surprised. Like my roommate planted it and was like,
you got some good soil though in your backyard.
Yeah. And then we got some sunflowers coming up. They're taller than me.
Okay, there's a TikTok I watched and a lady had a 15-foot stalk with a 2-inch sunflower head at the top of it. She's like, this is the biggest disappointment.
Well, they get big over like
they're
a grower, not a shower.
No, it was legit. Like it was the end of the season. It's like from last year. It was the end of the season. She had like all these like 6-foot tall sunflowers with like big, good, wide sunflower heads, and then this one that's way up at the top telescope and going boop.
Oh, poor thing. You know.
All that length, but a tiny head.
But we have those coming in. And what I didn't... we have some okra coming up, which we planted from seeds. Again...
That's in one of my beds, but I kind of overcrowded it.
But we're kind of at that point where we're having a wealth of fruiting happening. Fruiting, general sense, I mean, like basil and oregano, we have a lot of. That's not necessarily fruit, that's herbs, but it's like 3 big fucking plants. And then I realized my roommate planted some basil around the like garden just as like a deterrent for bugs. I didn't realize that was a thing, actually.
Yeah, so you saw how like my oregano's gotten really long?
Yeah.
I'm going to go through with my shears and clip that when I can actually get out there and weed. And then I'm going to lay down those longer stalks of the older oregano because apparently that stops slugs and mosquitoes.
Really?
Yeah, apparently.
But I know that I know that marigolds can help deter some, little pesky little bugs. But I didn't know that basil could do that. And I mean, it's like, okay, so basil is a complementary plant in more ways than one to...
Yeah, I mean, I've got 4 basil plants because like I had 2 basil babies that are now growing. One of which I got to dig around very carefully because there's a fire ant nest in that bed.
Oh, Lord. Yeah, we got fire ants popping up everywhere.
Fucking, like, the week before we do 4th of July, I'm going to be going through my yard so much, just killing off ants.
But yeah, so we did our first garden sauce after doing we have so many pickles. I might bring a jar of pickles just to eat while we play D&D this Sunday.
Look, man, that's how it goes. Like you saw, one of my cucumber beds is a little wimpy. I think it gets more sun than the other one, but you saw that second bed is like just completely overgrown with the plant, right?
Yeah.
And I'm thinking a good part of that is the bottom of that bed. Like there's a good 3 inches I emptied one of the compost bins into it. And I think that helped it. But also, the reason I didn't do it on the other bed is I also dumped out a full ant nest into that garden bed and had to kill it before that's the other reason my garden took so long for me to plant.
It's got a lot of protein now with all those ants.
Like, no, I put a ton of fucking ant poison down because when I say I dumped the trash can and I had to let it go, I had mittens. That's how many ants. Like, I had to dunk my hands in water real quick so that I would not
get bit.
Oh no, I got bit. It's just I'm trying to make sure. Remember, my hands were slightly swollen like a few weeks back.
Yeah,
back in April.
Lord.
That was what happened.
But yeah, so what if I told you? Well, before I get into that, I want to talk about this sauce. It was really fucking.
He's
good.
Gonna get lost in the sauce.
I'm gonna get lost in the sauce for a minute because I was trying to segue into the podcast and stuff. I gotta talk about like gardens. Anyone out there who has a garden or can go to the farmer's market and get like actual tomatoes, roast those tomatoes, take off the skins. Just do a quick pulse in your processor and just cook them bad boys down with some onions. I like bell peppers. Some people don't like peppers in their sauce.
I like bell peppers in my sauce, but my mother blames me. So because for 40 years she has been having serious reactions to bell peppers. Like
that's wild.
Yeah. Well, I mean, my wife's she wasn't allergic to avocados before Vincent.
Yeah.
And now since we've had Freya, her avocado allergy has gotten worse to where like we don't let either of the kids
like even touch.
We don't let them try avocado. Like Freya's tried, but like, and the big problem is like Emily, when right after we had my son, she was a little bit allergic to avocado. So when like I would eat it, like her lips would get tingly. If I eat it now and I kiss her, her lips swell a little bit.
Oh no. I mean, but we weren't talking about avocado. We were talking about peppers.
I'm just saying I'm saying it's pregnancy changes. Like my mom is still like, you're the reason I can't have bell peppers in anything. I'm like,
oh, okay. I see where you're. Okay.
See, this is the problem. Though, is like when I was younger, I felt bad. Now I will eat a bell pepper in front of her.
Yeah. Now you're just like, fuck you. I will do what I want. I am 40. I'm depressed.
Mom, I'm a grown man.
I'm a grown man. I take my antidepressants like everyone else.
I can't afford those. Look, man, I think a lot of us do. Like, I've still been getting messages. Have you gone to therapy yet? And my answer is like, therapy sounds expensive.
Yeah, that's me. But anyway, speaking of therapy,
am I going to need it after this? Like,
maybe
we're going into. We're doing something that we normally don't do.
So yeah, we don't normally do true. We've like skirted around the edges, like with the Axeman. It was a bit of a skirt around the edges of it because we talked about like true crime cases. Technically, I mean they were pretty old in comparison.
Okay, I don't consider like the Velasca axe murder house is a supernatural story at this point. It's not a true crime. Like I've seen it be listed as true crime.
A true crime thing happened in the house, but it's been so long and there's so much story around the house that it has become supernatural. What I'm about to talk about is happened within our lifetimes, two, and the late 2000s.
Are you talking about what happened after Katrina?
We'll get in. No, we're not talking about that.
Okay, good, because that's one I don't really want to touch for a hot minute.
Oh, no. That I already know.
We know
this is from the list, by the way. I'm taking from the list.
Okay, because I was going to say there's one that I haven't put on the list because we know people that knew the folks.
Yeah, no. It's like if I was gonna like talk about like the Chris Watts case, like I really wouldn't do that. But one, because it's gruesome, and two, it's just. I mean, it's just too recent. It's like 2019 or something like that.
Like the thing is, it's like Bloody Mary shops underneath their apartment, and you can take tours of it.
Yeah.
Like okay, one, I understand that you can make money off of it, and it's a gruesome story, and New Orleans does all that, but I also feel that it is somewhat
exploitative.
It's more than exploitative. I feel it's almost perverse.
Yeah. Here's the problem with true crime. Like, there's always like that perverse sort of exploitative nature to it, where it's really hard to talk about.
I think that's because it's so many people's guilty pleasure.
I mean, it's my guilty pleasure. I'll go ahead and admit it. Like, I listen to true crime. I'll like just as much as I listen to like supernatural stuff. I mean, it's interesting in the sense that it's like there's mystique and all the similar things there, but I guess it's like it has that one extra layer of like realism as opposed to like ghost stories, where ghost stories kind of have an air of like you could believe or disbelieve in ghosts, right? Like,
I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, like, but when it comes to true crime,
that shit happened.
It's all documented. Things happen. But when I was researching this and when I was actually considering this, there was like an angle I decided to come up with, which is why I'm coming up with this new and exciting segment here on Backwoods Obscura, and I call it Incompetence Corner. Wee woo, wee woo. That means we get to talk about true crime from the perspective of how cops fucked it up royally.
I mean, that's every true crime
story
like
ever. That's the thing. It's like, here's the thing. Most people, like, who talk about true crime kind of just mention it in passing. It's like, oh, it's this thing that just happened. But I've listened to enough true crime to know that cops literally just fuck shit up all the
time. It's one reason I love, and that's why we drink whenever Christine does her segments. Like, there's usually a stop because it non-binary and a woman host.
Yeah.
That very much would be 100% the people to receive the negative end of cop incompetence, because it's like, oh yeah, Ted Bundy, I gave the guy right. He didn't seem like a bad dude. I didn't realize he was a fucking murderer. And you're over there going, he looks like a. Okay, I might be, because I'm coming from, hindsight, but it's like, that dude looks like an untrustworthy thumb.
Or it's like the moment where Jeffrey Dahmer was like, talked a cop into letting someone who was obviously stressed and also a minor back. It's like, oh, it's just the gays doing things. It's like, come on, fuck you, fucking
bruh.
cop.
Yeah, it's okay. Let's step back from your and I's proclivities with the 5-0. Let's address something here. A lot of normal everyday police officers are not trained to actually be detectives.
That's true.
So I give them a pass slightly sometimes. I never give a detective a pass, because if your job is to investigate shit and you write something off, I almost feel that you're culpable.
That's funny you mentioned that, because here in our first episode ever of Incompetence Corner,
we need a sound effect for that.
Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo.
Wee woo, wee woo.
I need to do that because my voice, I can't hit that higher octave.
I'm just doing Patrick from fucking SpongeBob. Wee woo, wee woo.
I just need to be Patrick. You're right. So
you take the police case and you just move it over there.
You just put it in this. You put it in this hole and you cover it up, and you don't talk about it. So anyway, have you heard of the Jeff Davis 8?
No.
Also known as the Jennings 8.
I know the Gina 6.
The Gina 6 is a different case entirely.
Yeah, but
that is not a murder case. That is a case of like gross racism in the place where our not so illustrious president is keeping people without due process.
You know, I really hate that is a thing, and I forget it's a thing for a split moment, and then it comes back, and I'm like, fuck.
Okay.
God damn it.
So I'm surprised. This was actually the Jennings 8 was on the dock, and I figured you put it on there. Maybe I put it on there.
I know I probably put it on there, but I'm gonna be honest. If you look through the doc, a lot of that is I saw a title, and I saw that it is connected to something supernatural, something ghosty, something kind of.
Oh,
true
this
crimey.
isn't ghosty.
No,
this
I'm
is
saying
full true crime.
I'm saying or it's connected to something else like that, because it pops up on lists everywhere else. And I'll be honest, when I'm putting together our list, I don't super read a lot into it, so that I'm not coming in with like a footnote knowledge of something you grab. Like,
right. Okay. That's fair.
I don't want to spoil it for me. Like,
to be fair,
like The Sixth Sense, I don't want to.
You don't want to just. I mean, there have been episodes where both of us have known a little bit about the other thing that the person was talking about, and yeah, I can. It helps get you away from the urge to be like, I know this.
But the problem is, if I start reading something on it, I'm gonna start
commenting.
No, I'm gonna start doing it. Like, I'm gonna start. The reason there are 6 episodes on my laptop right now is because I start on the list. Hey, what the fuck is this thing?
What the fuck is this thing? Anyway, so...
Or to quote Critical Role, the fuck's that about?
So down in Jim Davis Parish, or Jefferson Davis Parish. Jefferson Davis Parish.
Jim Davis sounds like a country singer. Jefferson Davis is a traitor.
Yeah, I mean, what do you expect from Louisiana? I mean, come on.
Well, we got a Grant Parish.
So, in May 10th, 2005, in Jefferson Davis Parish, outside of Jennings, Louisiana, which is it's about 39 minutes away from Lake Charles, just on the edge of what we would call Cajun country.
Oh man, this is the other reason I don't pay attention to it. It's over near Lake Charles. I need to stop hating on Lake Charles. Like, I've listened to 3 podcasts while doing other stuff.
And it's just us like, fuck. Lake
No, it's no, you're over here like, what's your problem? I'm like, they're fucking gumbo.
They put tomatoes in it or something.
No, that's Creole. That Lake
Charles,
wait,
do they do the green?
They do the green. There are, dude. I've listened to 4 of our podcasts this week working on stuff because I'm shamelessly trying to up our listens, even if it's one I've already listened to. And I'm like, damn, there's like, we recorded these all on the same day, and that's the reason why we kept going on about the same.
But okay, so where was I?
Jefferson Davis Parish, edge of Cajun country.
Okay, so a man named Jerry Jackson decided to go fishing on the Grand Marais, or Maurice, Marais Canal, which is on the outskirts of Jennings, Louisiana.
I probably just told you the wrong way to pronounce that, to be honest.
It doesn't matter. If anyone listens to this podcast, they know I'm fucking shit with pronunciation. This town, which is about 9K now, it was about 11K in 2005. Small town. I live in a small town like this. I live in a small town relative to where we live in Monroe.
You just said I live in a small town.
Did I just?
Okay, where you live at outside of West Monroe is a unincorporated community that is about the same size as this small town. Is that what you're trying to say?
Why, brain?
Your brain goes,
what?
Life needs things to live.
People die if they are killed.
Did you just activate AI in your brain?
The AI just activated, and now I'm just like spitting random shit.
You slightly pooped yourself. Yeah.
Okay, so Jackson was on the bridge overlooking the canal, getting ready to cast until he saw something in the water. It would look to be a body. At first, he thought it was a mannequin. He had heard about someone stealing those in the area, and perhaps some teenagers decided to discard them in the canal. However, as he focused his eyes, he noticed the flies circling the corpse.
Ew.
So he called the police, and about an hour later, they had retrieved the body of Loretta Lewis, a local sex worker in the town of Jennings. There wasn't much to go on at the time of the investigation. Her body was severely decayed, and aside from minor head injury, there wasn't any evidence of trauma or, foul play, at least from what they could find. And over the next 4 years, 7 more women would be found in the surrounding swamps, ditches, and canals outside of the town of Jennings, leading to what is now known as the Jennings or the Jeff Davis 8. Okay, so here's some things to note about the victims. 1, they were all sex workers.
Why? In true crime, they are always targeted, and I hate that because...
Well, the reason why is because they live on the margins.
They're marginalized, and I'm going to say this as an individual that has never used the services of someone within that industry. They shouldn't be. It's fucking bullshit. Like, they have a job. They are doing a legitimate job. It needs to be legalized so we can get rid of the pimps and make it safer.
Well, the thing is, it's one of those things. It's going to happen. It's either going to happen on the margins or it's going to happen legally. And I would rather it happen legally where people can, get tested for STDs, practice safe care, have autonomy in their business. Like, if someone's an escort, and they can have a lot more protection if everything was legal. But anyway, that's getting into...
That's getting into Chris's political podcast.
Yeah, let me talk about my politics. Anyway, the victims knew each other in some way, and some were even related. They bunked together. They, hung out.
Hello, fellow youths.
Hello, fellow youths. No, this is a town of, 11K.
Okay, that's Bastrop. Like, that is...
Yeah.
When you say little town, the area you live in is not that big.
Only 2 of the victims had visible markings of foul play, which, in this case, their throats were slit.
Ugh.
Although all the other bodies were too decomposed to tell. So, most of the bodies... if you think about it, you're down southwest in the state of Louisiana and you're thrown in a ditch or canal. Shit's gonna eat you up real quick.
Coffin cutters.
Yeah, the coffin cutters.
Let's be honest, no, they won't. But everything else. Like, alligator's gonna hit you up
honestly, as gruesome as it sounds, it's amazing that alligators didn't. Although they're more ambushy.
They are, but at the same time, okay. If there was actually a sizable catfish, but they still wouldn't eat something bigger than them. The number of things that a dead human body floating through the water would just be a buffet open for is ridiculous.
Yeah. In 2008, before the 8th body was found, a multi-agency investigation team made up of state, local, and federal law enforcement was created to solve the murders. The task force believed that, in the beginning, they were tasked with finding a serial killer and offered up to an $80,000 reward for information that would lead to the arrest. Yet...
Wait, how much again?
$80,000.
That's serious money.
Yeah, it's up to 80. But here's the thing. Okay, this is what I'm going to say about this. I'm going to get on my soapbox a little bit. When cops offer up or law enforcement offers that shit up, they will, even if you solve it, or even if you give information that solves the case or, something like that, they're going to find ways for you to...
not get the money.
Yeah. Which it's come on, dude, just pay the person that did it.
Let's also remember this. The police departments are only slightly better funded than our education system.
That's true.
So, if you said $80,000, I feel like something God damn it, Jethro, I said 80. I said AD.
Dang it, Jethro. $80. That's all I have in my bank account. Damn.
Okay, let's be serious. That's actually true for a whole lot of fucking cops in our state.
Well, not these ones. Despite
fucking hell, Chris. You're like, Hewitt, don't try to humanize them right now, you shitbag.
Hey, look. If you love Backwoods Obscura, you know we're a bunch of dipshits. That's just, our political opinions just bleed in here. But despite this, the cases were never solved. Only 4 people were even arrested by the police in connection with the murders. That would be Byron Chad Johns and Lawrence Nixon were arrested for the murder of the second victim, Ernestine Patterson, and Frankie Richard and Hannah Colliner were arrested for the murder of the third victim, Kristen Lopez. However, all the charges were dropped for all 4 people due to lack of evidence and conflicting witness testimony. Their case remains unsolved 16 years later. I mean, it's more like 20 years later, because if you go by, like, what is it, 2025?
Yeah.
So, like, in 2005 was when the first body was found. So, kind of weird, in a town full of 10,000 people, a special task force made up of several government agencies couldn't so much as solve a single case. Wonder why that is.
Bobby Jindal.
Bobby Jindal would have been fucking governor at this point, I think.
I'm sorry, I'm from Louisiana. It's just, we can blame him for, like...
I mean, okay, 2005. When did he...
He was not in 2005.
Was that Mary Landrieu?
That would have been... I believe so.
Yeah, okay. And then, like, 2006, 2007, he got in.
2008... I think he was sworn. Or was the
okay? So he came in at the tail end of this case, kind of just petering off.
I'm sorry. Like I said, I'm from Louisiana.
We
end up blaming like one person.
I would blame Mary Landrieu, but she passed away.
The murder got away with it.
Damn it, Mary Landrieu, you were the killer all along. No.
Well.
Okay, look. I'm not saying it's definitely the cops. Probably the cops.
The cops were the ones doing it?
I'm just saying, like, we'll go over some things, and I want to hear your...
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Now, I want to get this off the bat, like, what I found to research this. I mostly just ripped shit from Ethan Brown, a journalist from New Orleans, who did a book called Murder in the Bayou, and an amazing fucking article called Who Killed the Jeff Davis 8, which goes over everything and illuminated a lot of the information. Like, in fact, I mostly pulled from him because everything I found pretty much referenced him. So it's like, this dude was like the guy. What he states in his article and in his book is that the idea of a serial killer should have been thrown out, as serial killers tend to target strangers with no relation to each other. Now, I will say this. Not only did they know each other, but in some capacity they were even related. They also bunked together, and they also frequented the same inn called the Boudreaux Inn, a now shut down establishment that was well known for drug and sex trade. It was so well known, in fact, the cops would stake out the place for easy busts.
So they know shit's happening there, so it's like, I gotta meet my quota.
Yeah. It's the place where they meet a quota at. Also, some of the victims in the case would give information to the police about other victims before being murdered themselves.
Oh, shit.
So, Laconia Brown, the 5th victim, was interrogated about Ernestine Patterson, the 2nd victim. Brown also claimed that she'd seen the body of Lewis, the 1st victim, before it was found by Jackson on the bridge. Kristen Lopez, the 3rd victim, was also interrogated about the investigation into Lewis's murder. Now, when it comes to serial killers, we've already mentioned, most serial killers, they're skulky and they try and just find random people, vulnerable people. And they don't want them connected because they want to continue the killing thing. They want to continue their gross hobby. All of these people know each other. to some capacity. Not only do they know each other, they operate in the same place. Again, they were all sex workers. They were all... they even knew things about each other enough to go to the police when one of them was murdered. All victims at some point were informants for the police. Okay, this fact was actually not public until well after the investigation, when in 2014, when Ethan Brown released this info. So Ethan Brown actually brought out a lot of information about this case. When confronting the Jennings sheriff about this, he stated, I wouldn't respond. If they were informants, I would still continue to protect their anonymity. I don't know if that's the truth. I won't comment on it. This is the Jennings sheriff saying that after Ethan asked him. It's like, so what do you know about this? It's like, these people are your informants, right? And he's like, I don't know.
I can't say nothing about that.
I can't confirm or deny. So you ready for the next one?
Yeah.
Okay, so task force investigators were warned by a sex worker that Nicole Gilroy, the last victim, would be targeted. Gilroy, a sex worker, of course, apparently had a large rap sheet, but many of her charges ended in, and I'm going to fuck this up, nolle prosequi, are unwilling to prosecute. This is a pretty common case for snitches or informants. Essentially, what it is, it's like they have charges, but the prosecutor is like, we're not gonna. Yeah. Where it technically stays on your record, but it's like, you know, Nicole was said to know a lot of the things happening underground of Jennings, which apparently was pretty bumping for a little town, for like a Bastrop sized town. Or actually, Marouge is probably smaller. I think it's half the size now.
Bastrop has like 8,000 people.
Then Marouge would have like 4,000. I think. Would Marouge be about 4,000?
628.
I was way off.
Oh wait, no. 2010 to 628. 4,009. Or sorry, 409. 2020 census.
Okay, so it's a lot smaller than I expected.
Marouge is quite literally a 165 intersection, and like the wealthy people that don't want to live in Bastrop.
Like the only thing I remember about Marouge, the only time I drove through. I mean, I remember driving through there a few times, but the only time I remember it was when I was driving your truck and I was driving some of the people home from Louisiana, and then being
Anime Blues Con.
Anime Blues Con.
Yeah, Bastrop has 9,691.
Okay, so I remember a semi tailgating me throughout the entirety of Marouge, so that was a fun experience.
All 8 blocks.
Yeah. Until they decided to turn left, and I was like, fucking holy shit.
That was the year that I had a double flat on the Civic.
Yeah. Was it a Civic or was it a...
No, that was the Civic. We didn't have the PT then. We had Emily's 93, 94, 97 Civic.
Oh, yeah, because I remember that. Okay,
We got a flat in Greenville.
And then you got another flat.
And then I got another flat and didn't have another donut.
Because I was driving home in your car after dropping them off, and then I picked up a cat, and that became Cleopatra, who my mom still has.
Yep.
Anyway, we're getting off subject. Nicole's mother recalled her saying shortly before her death to not bother making a cake for her birthday because she wouldn't be there to celebrate. She would also have her 4 kids placed with their relatives. A witness had claimed that she was scared of someone and might have known who murdered the other women. Her mother also believed she was murdered because she was a witness to corruption within local law enforcement. This is what her mother said. She used to tell us all the time that it was the police killing the girls. We'd say, Nicole, say a name, something. Write a letter and leave it somewhere. Let us know. We can help you. She would say, no, Mama. It's too far gone. It's too big. I'd rather y'all not know. That way nothing can happen to y'all. She knew, and that's why they killed her. Nicole's fears weren't unique. These were shared by many of the victims. Laconia Brown, as I mentioned before, her sister believed that she was murdered by a cop. The parish and local police have a decade. We're getting into... Okay, so before I get into this. So there's that part.
Yep.
There's the part with the witnesses. Okay, so parish and local police have decades-long history of corruption. Under the tenure of Ricky Edwards, the cops would stop out-of-state cars without probable cause and seize property over what they called civil forfeiture.
That's theft.
Yeah, that's theft. I mean, here's the thing. Like, I don't know how it is in other places, but this sounds very familiar. Not so much the civil forfeiture, but small-town cops in Louisiana absolutely...
Okay, the city of Allah's budget is funded by speeding tickets, and I mean, it's kind of like also if you ever go to Collingston, Louisiana.
And just to be clear, we are not comparing Allah to Jennings.
No, what I'm saying is like if you ever go to Collingston, they have signs up that say "speed trap ahead." So the story behind that is this one guy that lived there kept getting hit by it for speeding tickets, so he put up on all of his property because he owned the farmland all around the town. He put up speed trap signs. Morehouse Parish doesn't keep officers in Collingston anymore because it's like population 58, 60. But they left up these dudes' signs after he died because it's actually a better deterrent for speeding through Collingston than actually having an officer in.
I would imagine so, because you're like passing through. Like, if you're driving through, like, Louisiana, let's say you're going from, like, Bastrop to, like anywhere in Arkansas or to Memphis or something like that, and you just see signs that are, like, speed trap ahead, you're not necessarily, like, you're like, okay, I don't want to get a ticket. I'm going to slow down a bit.
Right. I mean, it's kind of like something that's been shown to work with millennials. It doesn't work with anyone older than us, and the two behind us kind of do it, but there's a couple in like that Gen Alpha feral group that's coming up. Like the honor system, like there's a whole cheesecake store that's open 24/7, and at night there's nobody there. There's just honor system, like write your name down, write what you take so they can keep up their inventory, and then boop it. And I'll be honest, if I walked in there and they told me, hey, yeah, it's $17 even for these two pieces, write it down, boop it, I'd be like, well, fuck yeah, that was easy. I don't have to deal with a single person in this transaction, and I can get midnight cheesecake.
I don't know what happened after millennial. Maybe it's just, I mean, there's some great Zoomers out there. I don't want to do the millennial, or I don't want to do the generational hate shit, actually.
What I'm just saying is that a lot of Gen Zers, like the honor system thing of like just take care of it so they don't have to do like a human interaction,
right?
Or along the lines with us. Gen Alpha's like fucking free cheesecake, but that's also because Gen Alpha's like 12 and younger right now, I think.
Okay, well, 12 and younger. We won't worry about them right now.
They just released a bunch of feral badgers into a cheesecake shop, man, and that's okay. Release either of my children into a store with nobody watching them.
In 2003, 8 female cops filed, and this is a portion where I'm gonna be like, this gets bad. 8 female cops filed a civil rights lawsuit against the police chief and several male officers alleging sexual harassment and abuse. This would include exposing themselves to female officers, lewd remarks, forcing themselves on officers, and also verbally and physically threatening officers.
Okay, so basically flashing their junk to the female officers.
Among other things.
Okay, here. All right, let for everybody out there, very few people want unsolicited dick images, be it in person,
on a camera,
anything. They don't want it because let's be honest. Of all the pieces of anatomy, Unless somebody's is just beautiful because they've lotioned it and like exfoliated it or something.
Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, I don't want to make any too weird of jokes right now because we are talking about like
I'm
sexual
not
like,
making this a joke. I'm saying
no. I was gonna make a dumb joke, but I recoiled. I realized that bad time to do it. But here's the thing: like if it's unsolicited. If you had to sit there, it's like, does this are they going to like? Could they not like this? You probably shouldn't do it.
Like, okay, look, I'm just gonna be honest. I possess one, and I also have a child that runs around my house naked, and I have to remind him nobody wants to see that. I don't know who wants to see your boudin. Like, if you're just to flop it out, like it's.
If we're gonna be real here, I don't think these cops really cared, or these people, I should say.
I know they don't, but like I'm trying to come from this from a logical standpoint. Like who? Like these are also cops. Like that thing's been like in your pants all day. You've been sweaty, walking around in fucking South Louisiana in a car that may or may not have air conditioning. Like here's a wet sausage. Who wants to see a wet sausage?
I don't. This description is, but in 2013, the Louisiana State Police audit found that 4,500 in cash, 1,800 pills, 380 plus grams of cocaine, and several pounds of weed went missing.
That is one hell of a party that the cops just like, because okay, so hold on, you're asking my opinion earlier.
Yeah,
we just had coke, weed, and other confiscated pills / drugs go missing. How much money again?
4,500.
Fuck, the cops just bought hookers and just partied in the evidence locker one night. That's what that sounds like, man.
I mean, it pretty much was. In 1990, the sheriff's office was burgled by two men that stole 300 pounds of weed.
300 So this is okay. Do you remember Harold and Kumar go to White Castle?
Right, yeah.
When Kal Penn fucked a giant bag of weed in his hallucination, right?
That's probably what they were doing.
Like literally like a queen size mattress weed costume. That when you tell me 300 pounds of weed, that's all I can imagine is a giant square of weed the size of a human. That weighs more than me.
Here's the funnier part. When they caught and interrogated one of the thieves, two other people were implicated.
Both cops?
Well, Frankie Richards, who I mentioned before, as one of the people that was arrested for potentially murdering one of the people, and the sheriff deputy officer.
All right, here's the plan. We're going to steal all this weed. I get part. You're going to hit me on the head really hard so that I can then claim plausible deniability. But I will fall in such a manner that shuts off all the security cameras.
What's funny is that might have worked because none of the men were charged.
How high are you getting with 300 pounds of weed?
You're getting pretty fucked up.
Okay, I know that they're selling it. I know they're selling it. They're not just going to like light up the world. They're not going to Guinness World Record the biggest bong hit.
Okay.
Fucking hell, man. Like,
look, I could go on about the amount of shit that people have done, that these people have done, from sex trafficking, rape accusations, evidence room theft, etc., etc., etc.
This is all in the Jefferson Davis Parish Sheriff Department.
Yeah, and I mean, it's there and Jennings. To be clear, it's just those two. It's just, I mean, I think the adjacent parish too, maybe, but you know, just
we're not sure.
I mean, I think there was one other parish. I don't think it was Ascension. I think it was a different one. It was an adjacent parish.
Holy shit, man.
I think actually Ascension Parish was one of the ones that helped investigate.
Ascension's over by Baton Rouge.
But they helped put together an investigation.
Oh my!
That's why it came into my head, is because Ascension Parish had something to do with the case. I will say this: if you want to know more about this case, I'm just mostly just fucking with Hewitt's head at this point.
I don't do true crime, y'all, because like it's
this.
It's
but
this.
If you want to learn more, if you actually want to learn more about the case, I would say go check out Ethan Brown's work. It is, what is it? Are you okay?
There are 5 parishes between Jefferson Davis and Ascension. So, like, if we went with the original statement of a neighboring parish, Ascension, Acadia, Lafayette, St. Martin, Iberville, Ascension.
Look, it lines up with my poor understanding of geology.
Geography. Also, just
I was educated in Ouachita Parish, sir. Okay, I did not complete college or high school. Okay. I thought France was an island nation.
Okay, hey, to help you out, just south of Ascension is Assumption. Which is what you were doing earlier.
Okay. Look. Enough beating up on me. Every police chief...
You do enough of that yourself.
Every police chief since 1990s has seemed to have some scandal or another. So with that in mind, let's get into the corruption in this case. Because we haven't gotten into that, have we?
Oh, we haven't yet?
No, we haven't. We haven't talked... Okay, I just went over the stuff about the case, and then I went over like the corruption in the police department. I haven't got into the corruption in the case. Okay. A veteran Jennings cop was fired after leaking audio from 2 female inmates about a possible connection to the murders. So, I'm going to fuck this up. Sergeant Jesse Ewing, E-W-I-N-G, Ewing, was always cautious of his fellow officers, so when he received word that 2 inmates had information about the deaths of 2 of the victims, he decided to record their conversation and go above the task force and go straight to the FBI. Unfortunately, the FBI just turned around and handed the information back to the task force. I mean, I'm assuming the FBI was like, well, these people handle it. Was there...
Guys, we're busy. There's this guy by the name of, we're still dealing with the last time we got in trouble, and that's because with David Koresh over in Waco, but that's the CIA.
But they handed it back to the task force, which was made up of mostly like Jennings and Jefferson Davis Parish cops.
We know this investigation involves investigating you. So we're going to let you investigate you.
Yeah. So Ewing was the
Love is what brings us together today.
Oh
marriage.
Ewing, I am so sorry. I hope he never listens to this fucking podcast. No one else does, so hopefully he doesn't. Ewing.
Ewing?
No, it's E-W-I-N-G.
Ewing. It is right. It's just that you add the Elmer Fudd-esque lisp to it when you say Ewing.
He was charged with malfeasance in office and sexual misconduct, as one of the inmates claimed that he groped them, though he denies this. Ethan Brown got to listen to the tape, and the women gave in detail the murder of Whitney Dubois by the hands of Frankie Richard and Hannah Connor, 2 of the people we mentioned before. The same person, a sex worker by the name of Tracy Casson, Chaisson. Casson? One of those. Was also told investigators that Frankie and Hannah also killed Kristen Lopez, which would lead to the second-degree murder charges that they would get. So we will get back to Frankie and Anna soon, but just know that the recording that got Ewing fired implicated Frankie and Hannah. Okay, so Chief Investigator Warren Gary, part of the task force, bought a truck from an inmate named Connie Seiler for $8,000.
What?
Chief Investigator Warren Gary, part of the task force, bought a truck from an inmate named Connie Seiler for
I heard you the first time.
For $8,000.
I'm fucking done with this parish.
He then cleaned it and sold it for $15,000. This truck was suspected to be evidence in the Lopez murder, and Connie Seiler was an associate of Frankie Richards.
Fucking hell, man. Like,
Warren was said to be friends with Richards and would ignore witness testimonies. Wait. Get ready for this one. He was fined $10,000 for the ordeal, but wasn't removed. He was instead assigned to oversee the evidence room.
This is when, if we were recording for fucking Patreon, you might get good footage, because I know I'm making a face. I hear the face I'm making.
Terry Gilroy, the warden of the jail, gave an alibi to Hannah Connor, stating that her strange comings and goings around town was due to her work with a cable company. So, just remember the Gilroy name. Okay, so one of the victims had the last name Gilroy, but I don't think they were related. So there is a Terry Gilroy that was the warden of the jail in the town. Another officer by the name of Danny Berry, who died in 2010, was named by at least 3 witnesses. He was said to drive around and pick up girls and spike their drink. He was said to have a room in his trailer of chains hanging down from the ceiling with the windows covered.
Sex dungeon.
Yeah. Despite being named, he was only interviewed once by the task force. Paula Gilroy. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah.
Well, that's because it's the wife of Terry Gilroy. And she was the sheriff's deputy, was said to have recruited all the women as informants, even though she denies this. When Paula participated in a raid of Frankie Richards' of course, house in 2009 after the main investigation has started to cease, in a drug and theft ring involving him, Frankie Richards' mother, and the mother of the seventh victim, Brittany Gary, where 4K went missing suddenly, and then the charges of theft against Frankie Richards suddenly disappeared. Now, Paula denies any wrongdoing, but was still fired for the incident. Guess who was in charge of the evidence room at that point?
The guy you mentioned 5 minutes ago?
I'd actually put the smiley face right there because, I thought it would be funny.
This is frustrating the shit out of me right now, Chris.
Now, try to keep this episode in more or less an hour, which I don't know if I did or not.
No.
We're going to wrap this up by talking about Frankie Richards. Now, like I said, he was a central figure in the town. I don't know if I mentioned that he was actually a strip club owner in the town and knew all...
No, you did not.
He knew all of the women. And... Okay, I'm going to say this right now. When it came...
Are you having the problem I had a week or the last time we did this? To where it's the fuck did I just write?
The fuck did I just write? But also this case is so dense and so complicated. I will say this now. I was mostly trying to get your reaction to some of the fuckery in this case, but it's also if you really want, I'm just going to say this now. This is the third time I'm saying this. And this is one of my sources, is Ethan Brown's book and his article on this. If you want to know more, if you want to have a more in-depth look into it, I would recommend that. I mean, This case is a lot more intricate than what I'm giving it here. But Frankie Richards knew all the women, knew like he even stated in town he was on record stating that like the cops were corrupt and like they couldn't solve a murder for shit. There's like, I think he said in like 2009, 2010 that like there's been 20 murders here since 1990. They haven't been able to solve one of them or some shit like that. And he was pretty active, at least up into 2009, in the drug and sex trade. At least, I don't want to say like, because it's alleged. I want to say alleged. But yeah. Anyway.
Did you do all of this to fuck with me?
A little bit. Yeah. So.
Assholes.
Frankie Richards passed away. A free man. None of the charges apparently stuck, but in his later years, he was harassed by the police, by his account, and other people in the town. Actually, Ethan Brown, when he was researching this, he had talked about actually having like continuous conversation with Frankie Richards, to the point to where Richards would just call him up and just talk with him. I mean, I'm assuming it's just like wanting to have, conversation with someone. And, this is an investigative reporter that's like, okay, I'm just going to try and see what I can get. But yeah, that's as much as I could, like, if I really wanted to cover this, it would be probably another 2 hours if I wanted to really, really cover it, because there's so much in here. And yeah, so who murdered 8 women?
Cops. The cops did it. This is their that is.
So this is the inaugural episode of Incompetence Corner, and some might say this is just malicious or corrupt behavior, but I would say that it's incompetence in the term of like.
They all can be the same thing. Like,
yeah.
Now I'm mad.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you mad.
Like, or I shouldn't say mad. I'm annoyed. This is super annoying because the stupidity that is in that is fucking bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, it's like, I don't think people like, okay, so, we talk about like in politics and such, you talk about like towns like Los Angeles or New York having a lot of corruption, but I think a lot of people overlook like small towns have so much fucking corruption. In fact, it's kind of a fixture in some media. Like if you watch Jack Reacher, the first season of Jack Reacher is just him dealing with small town corruption, dealing with the drug trade.
I mean, the big problem with the small town is, and we've seen this, just the same people have power. Like it's the same family. Insular. Like, okay, we don't have as much of a problem now because a lot of the younger folks with big names in our town have moved away because there's no. But for almost 80 years, if you had the right last name in this town,
you could get a lot more.
Well, I mean, like, and I'm not going to give details on this because it's really tragic, but there is a entertainment, food, sports complex over in West Monroe that will never get my money because the mother knew the cops and the son was drunk and hit the car of a family member's friend.
Okay, I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
And that's someone I grew up with. At least the stepdad is someone I grew up with.
Of the girl that lost her child?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Okay, so he's married to the woman who lost her child.
Okay, so then my sister knows the lady that lost her child.
Yeah, I grew up. You know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know. We're trying not to use names right now, but like the fact that breathalyzer was never done, dash cam footage from the cops and body cam footage from the cops never allowed. Kid did not get arrested for driving well over the limit and speeding. and a lady lost her baby.
Yeah, and it's fucking horrible.
Right. And
I mean,
that's the reason why that place will never get my money. But that's an example of small town corruption, because there's not much we can do about that, because the chain of evidence has been destroyed.
The thing is, there wasn't much they could do about it. They raised money. They reached out to the community. The community heard him.
Yeah.
And still, I mean, that dude that pretty much got a sweetheart deal.
I mean, he's still rocking around, which, by the way, it's just like the kid who raped the girl behind the dumpster that doesn't want his actual name said.
Oh yeah, fuck him. Yeah.
Yeah, his swim career. Fuck that dude. No.
I don't give a shit about a swim career. You did something fucking awful, and you should acknowledge it and atone for it, or you should have it on
you should have to deal with the fucking consequences of your actions.
Yeah. But anyway, we're going to leave it at that because we are Backwoods Obscura. We release every Tuesday. Usually we have a more uplifting, not really uplifting.
I need a fucking palate cleanser.
We need a palate cleanser, so we're going to go, but we do release every Tuesday, and we are on social media. We're on the TikToks. We're on Facebook. I sometimes post there. We're on Blue Sky. We do Patreon stuff. We're looking at doing more Patreons. We're trying to figure out what to do on Patreon.
Yeah, we are. Honestly, I think the best thing for Patreon for me to do is to read a scary story.
We might do that. We might just do
just more audio format stuff. We talked about shooting video of us, but right now, the reason that shooting video tonight would have sucked is
we're looking at minis. But speaking of, we're also Team Bonus Action.
Team Bonus Action is a group of friends who like to play D&D and other tabletop and video games, and we raise money for charity. Right now, we are partnered through the end of July, July 31st with St. Jude's. However, we also highly and always recommend donating to the Trevor Project, especially this month of the recording is Pride.
Happy Pride, y'all.
So we need to make sure all of our Alphabet Mafia children are protected and have a safe place to sleep and stay, which is why you should donate to the Trevor Project. Also, they have resources for anyone that needs it so that they don't delete themselves. So go there and support them.
So they have the support. Let's not use such harshly. Well, I mean, I say that as I covered, what are the...
I'm just trying to say, because right now we got 3 states that are passing laws that are going to cause suicide rates among LGBTQ youth to increase. So if anyone's having those intrusive thoughts, Trevor Project has the resources for you, because we want you to be here tomorrow.
And with that, I hope you have a much better day or night or whatever time it is over there. Take care of yourself, please.
Why'd you do this to me?
I'm sorry.